All right, today we're jumping straight into a mental boot camp. This is all inspired by the absolutely relentless principles of David Goggins. And let me tell you, forget all the feel-good, fluffy stuff. This is about getting brutally honest with yourself to unlock the warrior you are always meant to be. So let's kick things off with one single, really powerful question. What if the one thing standing between you and the life you want isn't your job, or your past, or your circumstances, but your own mind? Okay, so this is David Goggins, and his life is all the proof you need that a total transformation is possible. I mean, look at this. He went from nearly 300 pounds, working a dead-end job spraying for cockroaches, totally haunted by a brutal childhood, to a Navy SEAL, an elite ultramarathon runner, and, well, a world-renowned master of mental toughness. And look, this wasn't some lucky break. No way. This was a choice. And that choice? It all boils down to this one core idea. The real battle isn't out there. It's right here inside your head. What Goggins teaches us is that to change your life, you first have to confront and totally master your own mind. So, you ready? Let's break down the actual tools he used to pull this off. All right, tool number 1, the accountability mirror. Now this is where it all starts, with a serious dose of brutal, unfiltered honesty. Now, the idea itself is pretty simple, right? But actually doing it, that's not easy at all. It's about looking yourself square in the eye and taking total ownership of where you are right now. The good, the bad, and yeah, the ugly. No more blaming other people, no more hiding.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? You can't rebuild a foundation until you actually see the cracks. Admitting your weaknesses isn't failure. It's the first, and honestly the most powerful step toward real change.
So, okay, how do you actually do this? Goggins literally used sticky notes. He wrote down every single thing he hated about his situation. That he was overweight, that he felt lazy, that he was failing. Then he wrote down his goals, and he put all of it on his mirror so he had to face that truth every single day, turning all that shame into fuel. Okay, so you face the truth in the mirror. Great, now what? You have to build the mental armor to actually act on it. And that brings us to our second tool, callusing your mind. I love this analogy because it's just so perfect. Think about it. When you start lifting weights or doing hard work, your hands get blisters, right? But then they form calluses. Your mind works the exact same way. By intentionally doing things that suck, you build these mental calluses that protect you and make you stronger when life gets really tough. And look, you don't have to go out and run 100 miles tomorrow to get started. It begins with these small daily choices. Choose the cold shower over the warm one. Wake up when the alarm first goes off instead of hitting snooze. Do just one more rep at the gym. Each tiny act of voluntary discomfort is like a deposit in your mental toughness bank. You know, we're all wired to seek comfort. But comfort? Comfort is where potential goes to die. Real, lasting growth only happens when you lean into that friction and learn to embrace the suck.
And this idea of embracing friction, it leads us straight into one of Goggins' most famous concepts for just shattering your perceived limits, the 40% rule.
So here's the deal. Goggins argues that at the exact moment your mind is screaming at you to stop, when you feel completely gassed and think you have absolutely nothing left to give, you're only at 40% of your true capability. Just think about that. That means there's a whole other 60% still left in the tank. See, your brain has this built-in governor, kind of like in a car, that's designed to keep you safe and comfortable. It's programmed to tell you to quit long before you actually need to. The 40% rule, that's your secret weapon to just blow past that governor and find out what you're really made of. But okay, what happens when you're really in the thick of it? I mean, you're deep in the struggle, you're way past that 40% mark, and you still feel like quitting. Well, that's when you need to open the cookie jar. And no, we're not talking about chocolate chip cookies here. This is all about proof. Every single time you overcome a challenge, big or small, you store that memory away. So when you're facing a new beast, you reach into that jar, you pull out a past victory, and you remind yourself, I've been here before. I've conquered worse. I can do this. So, I want you to really think about this for a second. What's in your cookie jar? What have you overcome? Passing that tough exam? Finishing a huge project? Just getting through a really difficult time in your life? Those are your cookies. Start collecting them because trust me, you're gonna need that fuel.
But even with all that fuel in your cookie jar, there's still one last monster under the bed, right? One final obstacle that can drain all your power. And that brings us to the last piece of this puzzle, owning your excuses.
Let's just be real for a second. Excuses are just well-packaged lies we tell ourselves to avoid discomfort and responsibility. The moment you stop blaming the world and take full, radical ownership of your life, that's the moment you reclaim your power. Accountability isn't some heavy burden, it's liberation.
This right here, this basically translates our go-to comfortable lies into the hard, uncomfortable truths. I don't have time really just means it's not a priority. I'm too tired often means my discipline is weak. And facing these truths head-on is the only way to finally break the cycle. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most crucial idea of them all. It might sound a little harsh at first, but it is the most empowering truth there is. Waiting around for someone to come and save you is a trap. The moment you realize that you are your own rescuer is the moment you become unstoppable. The only question left is, what are you going to do with that power?